have been inspired by the previous night. Evan considers calling the police, but Genesis warns against it, mentioning their underage status. Belle says she's 15, but Evan is skeptical. Genesis threatens to accuse him of statutory rape and claims to have evidence. Evan is confused and unsure of what to do, so he asks them how much money they want. He's different, but shouldn't get mad. Evan shows his wallet, offending them. Belle slaps him, denies being a prostitute. Doorbell rings, Vivian arrives, therapist. He informs her he's better and doesn't require therapy. Vivian rambles until Genesis emerges and orders her to go. Evan enters, finding the girls messing with his turntable. He pushes Belle away and attempts to kick them out, but they persistently taunt him. Evan gets angry, grabs Genesis by the throat, and Belle gets scared, ready to hit him with a statue if necessary. Evan calls the police, Genesis asks for a ride, and they leave. Evan cleans his house. Later, after taking a tablet, he believes the situation is resolved. Evan returns to work only to hear glass shattering. He discovers a shattered family photo and Genesis strikes him with a sculpture. Evan awakens bound to a bed as Genesis applies makeup. He pleads to be untied, but she ignores him. Suddenly, Belle appears in his daughter's clothes, even her underwear. Evan loses it and yells at her to remove them, calling her crazy. Belle then throws the underwear in its face and taunts Evan, claiming that every girl's first love is their father. Evan tells Belle that she is sick, but she ignores him, engrossed in her games. He pleads for her to untie him, but she remains seated, exposing her troubled past with her father and difficult childhood. Meanwhile, Genesis confirms it was not a dream on the mirror, and Belle starts assaulting Evan. They confuse him with her father. He reaches for his phone and they both try to answer a call from Karen. They threaten to answer the call while unzipping his pants, but he pleads with them not to do it. Belle wants to have sex with him and jumps on him while Genesis records it. Evan breaks free and confronts Genesis, but she stabs him in the shoulder with a fork, causing him to pass out from the pain. The girls tie him up again and play a game with him like a game show. Genesis plays the MC while Belle is a contestant. Evan calls them liars and Genesis hurts his ears with noises from his turntable. He cries out in pain and she stops. Genesis continues the game, but Evan refuses to participate, so she hurts him again. Evan answers a question pleasingly, and Genesis plays more noise to prove her point. Evan caves and answers another question, but he doesn't know how to respond. The doorbell rings, and Lewis comes to pick up a sculpture. The girls cover Evan up and hide him, pretending he is not there. Lewis enters, sees something wrong with the sculpture, and the girls blame someone else. Lewis doesn't believe them and wants to call the cops. Genesis tries to hit on him, but he sees through their lies. Lewis confronts the girls, but Evan begins to make noise and Lewis rushes to free him from restraints. However, he decides to deal with the girls first upon hearing them destroy the sculpture. Lewis yells at them but has an asthma attack. They steal his inhaler and joke around with it. Evan begs for them to give it back, but Lewis falls and hits his head. The girls laugh and ignore Evan's pleas for help. Evan believes they killed Lewis, but Genesis blames Lewis' wife. They bring Evan back inside and make a sculpture out of Lewis's body. Evan tries to reach his gun, but Genesis sends a threatening text. They put Lewis's body in his van. The girls return and continue their game show charade with Evan. Evan pleads for his life, blaming the girls for starting everything. Genesis tells him he'll be executed at dawn. The girls apologize and dig a grave for Evan in his backyard before returning inside. Genesis takes his clothes and they deface Karen's sculptures and design models. The girls give him a bowl cut, destroy his house and Karen's artwork. They find a gun, untie him, and Genesis challenges him to hide and seek. Evan has 30 seconds to hide inside the house. If they don't find him by sunrise, they will leave. Evan grabs a knife and hides in the kitchen as the girls count down. When he thinks they're far enough, he runs out and Genesis catches him. She tells him he can scream, but no one will hear him because no one's home. At dawn, the girls roll Evan to a grave, burying him up to his neck. He begs for his life. Evan promises to behave, but Genesis removes the gag. He tries bargaining for his life, but Genesis offers to let him go if he calls his family and confesses everything. Evan agrees, but when Genesis calls his wife's phone and reaches her answering machine, he panics and screams for help. Genesis silences him again, revealing that his wife hung up after hearing Karen's voicemail. They toy with him, pretending to drop a sculpture on his head but instead drop it next to him. Evan breaks down in tears while they mock him and claim this is all just a game. Before leaving, they admit they are not underage and do one final thing to Evan. Belle uploads a recording of her and Evan onto Facebook, leaving the phone in front of him. Evan desperately tries to delete the video, but accidentally hits like instead of delete. When Evan's family returns home the next day, they are greeted with the chaotic aftermath left by the girls.